Let's move on to question number 4. I have a 14-year-old daughter who has social communication difficulties, sensory processing difficulties, and defiance at home. There are very little resources medically around us, and we have very little local support. What training do you recommend for parents to help and encourage their children?
Again, there are resources for you to read and learn. Again, selectivemutism.org or the Selective Mutism Association, the nonprofit organization. There's resources there. At the Selective Mutism Center, selectivemutismcenter.org, that's the SMART Center. On our resource page, we have tons of resources. We have webinars. Again, I mentioned
this podcast.
Well, of course. Yeah, I was just going to say Unspoken Words podcast is a great resource. Just listen to it in your car, even when you're going walking in your neighborhood. I mean, it's amazing how much you can learn just by listening to all the episodes. Honestly, there's things you're going to pick up. But I'm not hearing much here about getting your child evaluated. Very little resources medically around us. We are in the age of telehealth, virtual. COVID really sped that up. I mean, I spend 3/4 of my week doing telehealth with families as the other clinicians at our center. So working with a 14-year-old through telehealth as an option for treatment is something you should definitely consider. I don't know the state that you're in, but there are many, many states that clinicians have license in to do telehealth through the SIPAC. So you should absolutely go and seek a clinician that offers telehealth in other states. We do, and there are many others that do as well. So I think for you, that's going to be very important. When you're dealing with a teenager, with social communication difficulties, I don't know if that means speech and language or the selective mutism and the sensory processing, having sensory processing difficulties. Typically with kids with SM and sensory processing, you see that highly sensitive nature, being in louder, larger, lots of people environments, a school classroom, out and about. That can overwhelm an individual, causes them to shut down and not be able to communicate. So it's very important to get support for sensory processing, working with a licensed OT that has skills in sensory processing. They don't need to be an expert in SM to help you from a sensory processing standpoint. Not saying again that your child needs to have medication, but medication may be an option. I do find individuals with sensory processing difficulties on medication, such as an SSRI, can be very helpful. There is research out that using an SSRI with sensory processing can help block out the extraneous sensory inputs, that it can really help them. So that may be something to consider to help your child. It'll also help lower anxiety to be able to do the treatment for SM, but you need to find somebody that has expertise. Your child is 14 years old. You may want to consider an intensive treatment, either individual intensive program where you can get a lot of parent education and support through the intensive individualized approach, as well as your child, and a step-by-step treatment plan. We do that at the SMART Center. You may want to consider an intensive group treatment. Some of the clinicians in the country offer intensive group treatments for teens. I know we do. We have a teen program at Communicamp specifically to help teens connect with other teens that feel as they do. It's that social identity piece. It's a all-day parent education and support program. So for 15 plus hours, parents are meeting other parents, learning from us, experts in SM, on how to help support your child. Lots of opportunities to ask questions, small group breakouts. So as far as helping you learn training, to me, there's no better option than an intensive program for you to get that. And a lot of programs offer financial assistance. We have grants to help families lower costs. We have local nonprofit that houses families at incredibly low cost locally to be able to attend the intensive group treatment, and in our case, Communicamp. So looking into different programs around the country and really talking to the different treatment providers, talking with them to be able to determine if that treatment approach sounds like that makes sense for you. Because it's really important that you identify with the philosophies of the treatment.
Yeah. Now, I think an episode that this person could listen to and get a lot out of is that episode you did with Mindy Glass. That one has great great tips on what she did as a parent to help her child overcome SM. And I think that could be a training in itself.
Yeah, just listening to the amount of, although that child was younger, listening to that parent, listening to Mindy talk about all that she did to set up the world for her child. As a parent of a teen, of a 14-year-old, you can easily do that.
Right.
There's taking them out and about, setting up get-togethers, working with the school closely to do social buddies, groups, clubs, activities, participating in the world and helping them engage in a way that's building their social communication confidence and progression across the bridge into speech. But I can't minimize the importance of parent education here to be able to support your child. You cannot treat a child without treating the parents. End of story. You just can't do it. It doesn't work. You have to train parents and train schools to be able to, one, accommodations, interventions, and tweak that process throughout the treatment. The same with the parents.